Hello, this is Crystal Racing with the Crystal Score review for the 2021 Qatar Grand Prix. I have to say, I didn't actually watch the race, but I did take a lot of notes of what happened watching the race through Twitter because it turns out to be not a lot actually happened. But I will go through the scores. Lewis Hamilton gets 9.5 out of 10. Took pole position, won the race. Normal fare, not much to say. Max Verstappen, 9.5 out of 10. Got given a grid penalty for having to change, I think, a gearbox. And then, of course, and he made his way up to P2 very quickly. And that's where he finished because, of course, well, with Lewis Hamilton in the lead, Hamilton was never going to get beaten. And then, of course, third place, and my driver of the day, Fernando Alonso. What a brilliant drive. Absolutely fantastic. Qualifying fifth, finishing third after Bottas's puncture. Beat Perez as well. Just a stunning drive. I mean, 10 is the maximum I can give Alonso here, and because it almost felt like an 11 out of 10 type of performance. And yes, he even had time to say, tell Ocon to defend like a lion. Well, if Ocon had half of your talent, Fernando, mate, he might have done it, but he doesn't. So in the end, Perez did get P4. Sergio Perez, 7 out of 10. Got knocked out in Q2. And frankly, and that's not good enough, really. I mean, if he knew how to qualify better, he probably would have got a podium, but he didn't. So that's not good enough in my books. And I've got to say, I mean, look, I'll tell you why I didn't watch the race. It's because of the fact that when I looked at an onboard lap of this Losail circuit around Qatar, I just knew straight away it was going to be a boring race because there's just too many turns. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. The track demands a lot of downforce. Like, I knew what was going to happen. I just went to sleep instead, so sorry about that. But 5th place, Esteban Ocon, 8.5 out of 10. Well, he had a good race, but he got overtaken by Perez. But Ocon has improved recently, I'll give him that. But when I think he's truly going to have a long-term future as a decent driver in Formula 1 remains to be seen. I will say, though, David Beckham appearing on the grid and not taking any interviews from reporters was absolutely disgusting because, of course, David Beckham is taking £150 million to promote Qatar's World Cup event next year, and I have to say, God, that's just disgusting. I mean, the fact is he knows he's an absolute hypocrite for, doing all the sort of stuff he does on social media, wearing the rainbow shirt and all that, and then he goes and takes money off Qatar. I don't need to repeat what type of place Qatar is, but there you go. 6th place, Lance Stroll, 10 out of 10. His best performance of the season. I didn't see this one coming, but Lance Stroll has nailed this circuit, surprisingly enough, and that's all I can say. A fantastic performance from Stroll, who just simply drove a fantastic race. 7th place, Carlos Sainz, 8.5 out of 10, beating Leclerc again. Everyone's saying to me, oh no, you think Sainz is having a better season than Leclerc, what are you smoking? Well, he beat Leclerc again. I've got to say this battle is getting really hot at Ferrari now. This teammate war at Ferrari could get very tasty in the next few years, and how Ferrari react to their potential rivalry is going to be very interesting. I have to say, Charles Leclerc in 8th place gets 8 out of 10 for me, and it seems as if, he's going to be really under pressure in the next few years. I mean, he's got a contract at Ferrari until 2024, but his stock is beginning to drop a bit, I will say. 9th place, Lando Norris, 8.5 out of 10. Could have finished 7th if it wasn't for the puncher, maybe 6th, but of course because of the puncher he had to settle for 9th place. Easily outpaced Ricciardo all weekend, and he is beginning to look good again. 10th place, Sebastian Vettel, 7 out of 10. I think did he beat Stroll in qualifying, but his race wasn't that great. I think he got slowed by Bottas at the start, but After that, he drove an okay race, not an amazing race, but at least he got a point. 11th place. Maybe this score might be a little bit generous considering the sort of results he's got this year. It's Pierre Gasly. 7 out of 10. I'm going to take it as if the AlphaTauri just simply wasn't competitive around Losail this weekend. I will say though, Gasly does have a habit of struggling when the car's not working to his liking and not getting great results. I mean, he does tend to become a bit average when the car's not handling well. 12th place, Daniel Ricciardo, 6 out of 10. Every time Ricciardo is on a track, he struggles with, and in a car that's not handling in his favour, he goes back to being very average. And I have to say, this was a very concerning performance this weekend. No pace at all whatsoever. And I have to say, this is really now serious alarm bells for Ricciardo. Yes, I know he's improved a bit recently, but this weekend it seems to be back to what almost seems to be the usual story for Ricciardo. 13th place, Yuki Tsunoda, 6 out of 10. He finished 2 places behind Gasly, and he managed to get into Q3, but of course both AlphaTauris struggled for race pace, so I'm going to take it as if Tsunoda couldn't really do any better. 14th place, Kimi Raikkonen, 7 out of 10. Out-qualified Giovinazzi again, but the car being so slow meant they both got knocked out in Q1. There really is nothing much to say for Kimi Raikkonen, and there's only 2 races left, and I have to say, it could well be that this could be, the next 2 races could be the last 2 times I ever do a race review, really, because I have to say, I hate modern F1, I really do. I'm going to do a special video about why I actually now hate F1. That video is coming. 15th place, Antonio Giovinazzi, 6 out of 10. He's checked out of Formula 1. 16th place, Mick Schumacher, 7 out of 10. 17th place, George Russell, 7 out of 10. 18th place, Nikita Mazepin, 6 out of 10. He's probably, I'm not even sure how bad his score is, but he's probably bottom anyway, so who cares? And the 2 retirees, Nicholas Latifi and Valtteri Bottas, 7 out of 10. Both were victims of tyre punches since this circuit does seem to did really shred the tyres this weekend, hence why we got such a boring race, because everyone was too busy trying to make sure that their cars just that their tyres could last the race, hence why we didn't get an exciting finish like we've had in previous races. Honestly, on a serious note though, we have all this "we racers won" hashtag nonsense going on in Formula 1. The sport talks about caring about humans' rights, but then it goes and makes the calendar go and visit places like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Russia, and of course they've also announced a contract extension with China. Now I know someone's going to do a whataboutism and say, well, what about the imperial war crimes of Britain, France, Spain and whatever, but the fact of the matter is, these Middle Eastern countries and Russia and China are committing blatant human rights abuses in a day and age where in the West, you are allowed to be gay, you are allowed to be transsexual, you're allowed to do whatever you want without being persecuted by the state or whatever. And yet in these countries, that sort of thing doesn't exist. So, I mean, I really don't. I mean, I know, yeah, I've boycotted watching any racing action, but, Formula 1's image is a mess. And you've also got to realise, of course, this whole green energy stuff is really nonsense when you take into account that the calendar is now visiting more races around the world. They are doing more cross-continent trips, which, of course, burn off more fuel than the cars could ever burn on track than what's in the old cars. Of course, the old cars from the 50s, 60s, 70s through the V16s, the V12s, the V10s. The old turbos could ever burn off in fuel, and yet they're trying to lecture us with this zero carbon nonsense. And David Beckham, pretends to be woke, but then will turn up in Qatar shamelessly And, I just wanted to throw up all these, drivers like George Russell and Lando Norris all cozying up to David Beckham. They'll pretend to be woke on camera, but then when they see David Beckham, they're all smiles and they're all willing to take photos of an absolute hypocrite. And, I really cannot wait for Abu Dhabi to come around when Kimi Räikkönen retires. I'm going to retire from watching Formula 1 because, I'm just going to become an old man after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'm just going to turn into the old man type. I hate modern F1. There is absolutely nothing in it for me. If I ever get to meet Kimi Räikkönen one day, I'll meet him at a motocross track, not at a Formula 1 circuit, because he hates Formula 1 just as much as I do. He thinks it's just as much as a circus clown show as I do. I only watch Formula 1 to see whether Kimi Räikkönen has done well, but of course, I mean, look, I'm just watching Formula 1 just because of Kimi and Kimi alone. I mean, once he's gone, to hell with the rest of it. I'm sorry this is such a miserable video, but I really am in a bad mood this weekend. And, but if you like to listen to my miserable ramblings and angriness and bitterness, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again next time.